I haven't done that forever. Like I was back in college when I could pay out. No, that's a furnace issue.
Okay, I'm gonna call the meeting to order. We still have a couple of people that I hope will show up or all of a sudden show up on Zoom or something. So that we can get input from them. So hopefully you had a chance to look at the minutes from December. If I'd like to entertain a motion to accept those, if y'all are ready for that. Somebody making a motion?
I move to accept.
I second. Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept the minutes as presented for December. Any comments? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. Thank you. Does everybody know Candy? We have Candy with us today. Yeah, do you want to, Candy, do you want to tell them like who you are and what your position is?
Sure.
And how many years you've been with?
No.
I know it's been every exciting.
Great.
Longer than my grandchildren. Yeah.
And I have been with the district longer than Will has been in town. I actually started in the district when it was pretty newly formed in '94. So I've been here almost 31 years. The Parks District started at the aquatic park, and now I currently am Recreation Services Director, and I oversee all our programs, services, and facilities. So all our activities and things we do.
Yeah. Thanks. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Very much. Okay, on to discussion. So let's start with, we have two major areas of discussion today. The bylaws and the goals, or what we end up in saying, this is what we want to move towards or strive or help accomplish or whatever, quiet or chair.
I'll be quiet.
Don't move. Oh, and we still have a couple of, let me back up, I'm sorry. But one of the things I want to mention also is we still have an opening on our board. And in fact, I was reminded of that this morning when I looked at the email from Clackamas County, and they're talking about volunteer positions available, and we're listed on there. And so is the Aging Services Advisory Council that we've heard so much about, over the years. So if you know of anybody that's interested in either of those two, but especially on our advisory board that lives within the district or works within the district, that would be really great. Have we received any interest at all, Rochelle, or any applications? No, nothing yet. Okay, all right, thank you. So in your packet today, you have a copy of the bylaws as they are right now. You had some discussion about terms of office or terms of sitting on the advisory board. But I also wondered if there was anything else as we looked through these, anything else that folks felt we need to have some discussion about, whether it ends up in a change or not. Or any pieces of it that are confusing, can we simplify it, whatever, so. And the other thing we want to do, refer to this when you're talking about the goals, because this talks about why we are what we are. We're advising NCPRD and the Board of Commissioners, and actually in the city of Milwaukee also, towards Milwaukee Center needs. And that's as of the intergovernmental agreement that Candy talked about. And number C on there talks about some of the kinds of things that we should be focused on. And then we talked about the budget process. And Marty, I understand that at our February meeting, you're going to have a presentation.
I believe so. Sandy and I are working on a presentation and like an overview of what we do in the older adult services for both this board and the district advisory council.
Yeah, great. Yeah, that would be really good, because that's one thing that for years there was discussion and input and whatever, and then things happened, and COVID being one of them, and that kind of went away. And now as we do it again, I think there's a big ask for that type of information. if we're supposed to be helping with that or monitoring it or knowing what we can ask for and what we can't, and from where, then, I think folks are interested in that again. So thank you for that. That's much appreciated. I don't think, personally, I don't think there's anything in Article 2, A, B, C, D that needs to be looked at or changed. I don't know if anybody else thinks that. Article 3 begins with noting that there shall be 11 members of the advisory board. Any thoughts, questions, whatever on that, or are we all good on that? Sounds like we're okay. And B is that the city of Milwaukee appoints one person to represent the city of Milwaukee on the advisory board. And then D talks about applications for at-large, and that's what all the others are, even though we'd like to have the district represented geographically. That's not always gonna happen, but having people that live within or work within the district. So it might be that there are, say, a couple of people that live closer to each other than, or work closer to each other or whatever. But they're all called at-large positions, so they don't follow the zones that the district has established through the district advisory committee, right? That. Thank you. And I think it's, personally, again, I think it's fine to say you either live or work within the district. There's some good people. Lorraine's a great example of that, who lives outside the district, but she works within the district and has real vested interest in what happens in NCPRD and within the community center. So are there any thoughts or discussions about that part of the bylaws? That would be item C. And then let's have a little more, this is where the kind of the crux of the conversation comes in. Item D talks about terms of 3 years, staggered terms, which of course is always a good thing, ending in October of each year. And I think that too, then we should go back and look at our list of members and make sure that there's an October date as the final date, or instead of like November or August or, something else, if we're gonna stay with October of each year. And that board members should serve I just am never crazy about the word shall, and I'm not into it. Board members serve no more than 2 consecutive full terms. And the body that appointed a particular macabre member may waive this limitation if it is in the public interest to do so. And that's an important piece for us. I mean, for instance, we have 2 or 3 members who have been on here for a number of years, but there isn't anybody else beating down the door right now saying, gee, I'd like to do that. And these people are really valuable to our organization and they've done a lot. But is there an easier way to do that? Do we change the number of terms, the number of years, how does that happen? I'd really like to entertain some discussion on that. So go.
Can I just say what the foundation has done? Because
Yes,
we have a similar
Angela,
thing.
please, yes.
That we have put in our bylaws that the person whose term is ending, and we've got some ending in February, has to be approached to see whether they are willing, and then they have to be voted for that additional year. And it has to go year by year by year.
So is everybody year by year? Or
No,
one year?
we do the 2-3 year terms.
Okay.
But once 6 years has been done, then they have to agree
I
to
see.
be voted on again for an additional year. And then it has to be every year, so 7, 8, 9, if it happens to go that far.
Right.
But
Well,
we
yeah,
do put
because-
that into our bylaws,
Yeah.
that they have to agree to it.
I
and
mean,
be
because some of
voted
our
on.
people might want, feel very comfortable in serving 8, 10, 12 years, so. Yeah, so that might be one kind of thing to think about, how we might word that. The words aren't coming to me at the moment, but
Seems like,
Do that already, I'm sorry.
oh, go ahead, John.
Well, no, it does, I mean, it seems like part of county policies, we have to kind of do that already, but I know I've been
well, we do it
voted on
with the
every
3,
time I've gone up.
but that's with the 3-year terms.
Well, I have to resubmit an application to
Yeah.
Every
Every 3 years.
Board of directors every 3 years
Exactly.
as an applicant.
But I think what Angela is talking about is after those, should we have something, I mean, we do sort of have, we do say
In the public interest.
in the
that-
public
that-
interest, and so hypothetically, let's take Virginia, I'm gonna pick on you, I'm sorry. Let's take Virginia, whenever her term is up, she's served a number of terms, she's been a very strong member of the advisory board. You know, then we would go to her and say, would you be willing to serve another year, even though it's not a 3-year term, but then do it, maybe the next year do the same thing. Or let's face it, does that get too complicated and, you know, how can we factor in who's doing what and for how long and whatever, so.
I would recommend not doing it annually because we technically still have to post the recruitment. We gotta do the recruitment and then we bring it to
Oh.
you and then you approve it and then we have to take the board of county commissioners for as the acting.
That's an
executive.
important thought, thank you,
So
because,
there's a big process.
you know, I keep forgetting in some ways that the foundation and other
We're all
organizations like that are different than us who are county appointed.
Right.
That's why, I mean, appointed members, appointed council. Marty, you had
I was
your,
basically gonna say what Candy was gonna say, not just because she's my boss. No, I think we have the process, is if you're interested to go for a 3rd term, you need to recommit yourself to 3 years and go through the county process again. And if
Yeah.
you're not, that's okay, then don't be, but that's sort of my, and then, you know.
right now, it doesn't give them the option to go for a 3rd term, it's only 2 terms.
Well, it says if this board decides that, you know, so if Virginia's like, I'd like to do a 3rd term. Maybe this board then would
Like be
agree
their
to that.
advocate for that.
be an advocate, and
Okay.
then we. Open it up and she could apply, and then if 2 other people applied,
Then we have the
then we have,
interviews.
then
and
we have to
then
interview, then
determine.
we could still pick Virginia, or
Uh-huh.
at that point, I guess we could pick one of the other people if we preferred them. We, the rest of the board,
Uh-huh.
Well, yeah.
That makes-
or better, you know,
that makes sense.
most likely we'd approve Virginia, and then hopefully if we had an open space, choose one of the other people, or just put them on hold until we had an open space.
So do you think that the way this is written at this point in time is the body which appointed? So let me back up a minute and say that causes the question to come in my mind. The appointment's actually made by the Board of County Commissioners.
Yeah.
So they would have to be is that who they're talking about in this instance? They're not talking about us, who have said, this is a worthy volunteer, we want you to appoint this person. It's the Board of County Commissioners that has appointed them. So at this point, what that says is, and let me just change that wording in my mind so that we get, that the Board of County Commissioners, which appointed a particular macabre member, may waive this limitation if it's in the public interest. So if it were, we'll pick on Virginia, I'm sorry. So if it were Virginia and she was saying, okay, I'd like really to serve a full, 3rd term of 3 years. Then maybe we would then be her advocate, but then what does that do to making it an open application process if we're already saying, well, we really want Virginia? I mean, I can see that there might end up being some
So
gray areas in there. Although I want to make sure that people have the opportunity to serve as long as they can. Let me hear from Lorraine and then I'll back to you, Candy.
Yeah, and I mean, we all love Virginia, we want her to be here forever,
Yes.
but we don't want a stagnant group at the same time, so I think that the way it's written is pretty good, because then maybe we could recommend, we love Virginia, no one else is applying, and we find her very valuable, we wanna keep her, but there might be some other people that might want to, join like me. I mean,
Yeah.
this is my first year on here, so, it's always nice getting new voices in and kind of shaking it up a little bit. So I like how it's worded already, because it, I feel like it's us recommending that, even though Virginia's been here for I don't know how many terms, we still want her. And
To you.
yeah, I mean, we love her, we love Virginia, we don't want her to leave,
Right.
but, yeah.
Well, we
Spend
don't
your
shift
whole
focus.
Time.
Yeah,
Virginia,
He's flying under the radar.
yeah, oh, that's for Joel.
Let's put Virginia's term next.
Yeah.
It's a long way. I think Ben's been here a while, and we love Ben and Paul, and we love Paul.
Yeah.
Everybody has such great input
Yeah.
into this advisory board that, you know, sometimes, you know, knowledge is better than, you know, yeah, so.
Yeah.
Candy.
Well, I was just gonna say, when the term, you know, when we have a position open, we have to post it. And you can talk to Rochelle, because she's been involved in this, but
Yeah,
it's hard to get people, and it's hard to get good people to fill positions. So if we have somebody that applies right away and we know them, then we don't have to keep searching and keep going and waiting longer to fill it.
yeah.
So it's easier, usually to fill it if we have somebody that's interested in continuing. And I think that's why we have people that have been here for a long time, because we do want them, and
Yeah,
it's hard. to
and
get
they're
people.
interested and vested already and, you know, doing a good job and everything. I mean, you know, take the secretary position. I mean, how would we, you know, function if we didn't have them doing that, you know? There are those.
Yeah, Sam, you're gonna have to stay here for a while.
Yeah.
I counted back, this is fine, I'm on my seventh, I started my seventh term last fall.
Seventh term,
Seventh term.
so is that what,
Gee.
21 years.
wow.
Coming up on,
Well, started is.
started like
Sure.
That's long.
Wow.
I don't know how long Paul's been on, but I know it's been
Gee.
a long time.
Let's let go.
But, you know,
Back to Virginia, though.
I guess I'm trying to say that, as you can see, we fill those positions.
Yeah,
But there's also other opportunities for people.
And-
And so if we get more interest, we can bring
Yeah.
people in.
so when somebody, this may be a question that there's no answer to, or you don't know, or it's different all the time, I don't know, but so let's say, for instance, Ben puts his application in to serve another term. I mean, does the commission ever say, oh my God, they've already served too long, no, we're not gonna, you know, recommend them or whatever?
So-
It doesn't look like that's happened, but.
The NCPRD board changes, so I can't predict
Well, that's true.
where it's gonna go in the
Yeah.
future. But I do know, your bylaws, the general process of the ABCs is a set process from the county. And
Yeah.
that is something they've been reviewing and updating, and I think Marty had some conversations. But those kinds of things are probably set language that's in all of that.
Oh, yeah.
So for us to even, you know, if we were to bring that to change it, you might find that you're running into a brick wall, because that's the county standard.
Yeah,
And it is in place so that we bring and have opportunities for different people.
yeah,
I don't know, I mean, we can propose anything.
true, yeah. But if people at this level are comfortable with the way that reads now and understand how that process really works, you know, are we good with that, or do we need change? Because this part of the bylaws is the main reason why there was discussion about changing anything in the bylaws. So I'd like to hear any thoughts y'all may have. So Joel, let me start with you,
I kind of echo Lorraine, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
okay?
I think it works, I think the language is intentionally vague enough, but it's nice.
It's like a lot of bureaucratic things, right?
No, I think there's plenty of opportunities to out. Whatever, when I become too much of a troublemaker, you can find someone, I mean, truly, there's plenty of ways, loopholes. No one's gonna claim a seat in perpetuity, so.
So wait a minute, let me make sure you have to be off for a year before you can come back. No, only kidding. Virginia, thoughts?
I think it's okay the way it is.
Okay,
I
right,
wasn't, you were fine until they started picking on you.
Well, I think the things we would even consider changing might not be, to Candy's point, possible, given. Like, I have a feeling that most of that language is pretty boilerplate
yeah,
and
okay,
not particularly flexible. Like, for example, if we wanted to say 5-year terms, I'm not even really sure. We could, probably couldn't.
yeah, if it's a boilerplate kind of thing, and that's what.
Like, I have a suspicion that we couldn't change the number of years, but I don't know for sure.
I do have a comment, because I'm remembering, it was our director that actually brought this up. And so when we were filling the position in October, And we were refilling and she's like, wait a minute, and that's against your bylaws, oh. Go clean up your bylaws and get it fixed. You know, it was kind of her thought process, to making sure that we're not asking for exceptions. And that's kind of, you know, how she feels right now within the county, with our relationship. But I do feel that this has been ongoing, and again, I don't foresee it structurally changing very much.
Yeah.
And if it does, though, it's gonna come from county, because this is a regular, committee.
Yeah, well, and especially, you know, we look back over that line that said the body which appointed the particular member, you know, and so and again, if that's kind of boilerplate bylaws, then in every committee, they have that opportunity. So we're not asking for any kind of exceptional treatment, so to speak, you know, so. Okay.
Well, it seems like in the 12, 13 years I've been here, we've had a real healthy turnover.
Yeah, I think
We're not
so.
a stagnant
I mean,
group.
no, you know, we've got, well, I've only been on here, what, a couple of years now, and Riley and Lorraine just came on, as did Jeannie, and Rebecca's just been here a couple of years.
Rosie,
know,
Rosie's new.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
A good mix.
yeah, Rosie just came on, so. Lorraine, any other thoughts?
No, I'm happy with the way it is, yeah, I think it is.
Dan?
It's fine.
Good.
They have a, you know, a little cut off from each.
The Ben rule.
You know, so anybody serving 20 years or more.
Exactly.
I love it.
Get a golden chair.
No, then you get something special, so he's not
Right.
getting kicked off, and we say, no, come here, we want to replace that
A
more.
legacy.
Board member emeritus.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
What am I gonna do with my brother?
so we'll leave it the way it is, no changes in that. So the next, item talks about vacancies, and we know that there's, you know, filled the same way. What about item number F, failure of any member to attend 2 consecutive meetings without a valid excused absence? Maybe recommended for termination of that appointment, which it looks like then we would make that recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners, the way this reads. And so they could remove them or not remove them, I guess, you know, but again, this is probably boilerplate, so, and I don't think that we generally have anybody that just doesn't show up to the meeting and we don't know why. I mean, Rich Hill probably knows more about
They're all
that
really
than
great
I-
about saying they're not going to be here
Yeah.
Yeah.
for whatever reason. Seems legitimate to me. I don't run it by you guys, but
You know, take the doctor's note.
Broken to me?
Alright. I was trying to talk over stuff that, I think we added this, last time we did the bylaws, this
Oh, okay.
was part about having absences.
Yeah, that didn't happen just right before I came on, but I think I remember a conversation about why that was addressed, yeah.
We had that added on the district advisory committee as well,
Okay.
because we've had some non-responsives.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think the last time we retooled our bylaws in 2022, that was an issue, and then we tightened up our meeting schedule.
Right.
yes, that was the other change that was more recently made. Okay, so we'll leave that one the way it is, and then number G, unfortunately, we have to leave that one the way it is. Oh, well, we do get compensated, we get coffee, water, some kind of
Exactly.
great baked goods over
Some
there,
treats.
you know, that's always a good thing. Officers,
There's a format
that-
problem here, A's not what
oh, I see that. I'm usually the one who notices little things like that, like a horse something's off by, you know, 10 to or something, so. 3 positions, chair, vice chair, and secretary. Elections held in June, officers may be reelected, anything with any of that needs to be changed. How many years have you been secretary?
Since 2012, I think.
Well, that's not too many years.
No, I was just getting going, and then I was vice chair for like 1 year, and then, I think it went directly to secretary or took a partial year off, and then, next secretary retired. Like, oh, hey, we
No.
get a secretary. Oh, okay.
Well, you do a good job. I notice you take great notes. So. Anything in that section that anybody thinks should, it's pretty, just again, standard, so organizational procedures is Article 5. That's where we already have made a change in this last, year or so about how we meet. So now we have a minimum of 9 meetings each year, so if it snowed in February, we could say we're not gonna have that meeting. Or if half the board was gonna be gone, then we don't have to have that meeting, all of those kinds of things. And then it talks about a quorum, so 51% of the voting membership, so that's something. I must admit that I neglect to do that mentally when I come into the meeting, like right now, I'm looking around, going, okay, 2, 4, 6, we have 6 voting members out of 11, so okay, we've got 51%. But I sometimes forget to do that, so there aren't usually any times when we have below a 51%, especially now that we have Zoom added to it too, but,
Yeah, that kept me from having 2 absences in a row.
that's all good. We haven't had, to my knowledge, we have had a special meeting, and that was when our former chair called the meeting to have all the goals that we ended up with a long sheet. All of those, that was a special meeting, it was called. But I do wanna point out that when we have a special meeting, it operates, because we're appointed by Clackamas County, it still operates under all the same concepts and situations and wording and whatever that any other meeting that we have, we're still having a public meeting, and which needs to be recorded and needs to have public input if possible. I mean, we always, as you know, we always ask for public comment at meetings, and it seems ridiculous because there's nobody there, but it is something that needs to be on all county agendas, so, or all jurisdictional agendas in this case, because Oregon's made open meeting law. If I'm wrong in any of that, let me know. Okay, thank you, appreciate it. Anybody see anything on any of the rest of this that needs to be looked at again? Or is everybody good? Okay. Thank you guys for going through that process, I appreciate it. I've given you all blue and orange stickers here, we'll get to why you have them in just a few minutes, but if you hadn't had an opportunity yet to send in your suggested goals to Rochelle, what we have on the board right now are all the ones that have been sent in. And if there's anything there if there's anything you need to add in your own thinking of what you want to have, you can do that at this point. If there's anything up there that you say, oh, I meant to send that in, or that's one I felt strong about, then I'd say put a star in front of the first word of whatever that goal is, because then when we put dots up there, we're gonna do them at the back end, so we'll already know, for instance, let's say it's utilize outdoor spaces, we already know that, in addition to one person sending that in, that somebody else also felt that that was really beneficial in loading up their 3, 1 to 3 to be,
That was, we come up with multiple people, intergenerational was multiple people, refreshing the entrance, art on the walls was 2 or 3 people.
Okay.
Probably 4. I just wasn't sure much people got to yet, or if
Yeah.
people have other things
Can
they
you
want
do
up
me a
here.
favor and just put a check mark, like, in front of or behind, either way, of those that were multiples. That will help us in the beginning, because then maybe we can already get rid of some of the stuff that's up there.
Oh, like which one is that multiple?
See at least two for art.
Rosie had art, Virginia had art, and you had art
Okay.
buried in number 4.
Okay. Yeah, art throughout the
Yes,
building,
mural, yeah.
including inside murals,
Yeah, art.
yeah.
If that, 3.
Oh, that's great, thank you.
Strong voice for self-services, I think.
Well, they're doing that and getting those extra little notes up there. You wanna hear maybe on the recreation report?
Oh, I wasn't planning on.
Yeah, I know,
Oh,
but,
yeah, I
you know,
can definitely tell. So, we are currently, well, we're in multiple seasons right now, so we're currently, inputting our spring programs and getting ready for that because our registration will start, here in February for out of district and, on the 3rd. And then on the 10th for, or in district on the 3rd, out of district on the 10th. We are also preparing for summer now, so we're already in summer planning and we're getting ready for that. And so we're working with our movies in the park and we're doing a big kids concert. So just kind of trying to plan.
big kids, you mean like older kids?
No, sorry, I mean a large concert for kids.
Oh,
Yeah.
a large kids
Yes.
concert, I got it.
And getting our summer camp options and all of our, we are working on, so we have introduced 2 new programs too here at the center. We're introducing a new chair Zumba class.
Oh,
So we have a large, if you've ever noticed our sit and fit classes, we have about 30 people in each offering that we have. And so those are so large that we're now looking at trying to give other opportunities for more inclusive fitness classes. Things that aren't so intensive for a person who's taking exercise. So we have a chair Zumba and then a chair yoga class. And so we've had the chair yoga class,
yeah.
but we've kind of formatted it a little differently to make it a little bit more inclusive as well. So we're moving forward with those.
Yeah.
Our Hatha yoga program has seen a lot of success. We've actually added an additional offering to that, and it's still bursting at the seams. So we are looking at just where we can look at our current programs and seeing which programs are being super successful and where we can expand on those. But we're always looking for space, so that's
Yeah.
always a constant.
Just not for lack of.
Yeah, it's a
ideas, for
Tetris,
lack of
trying to make
space.
sure, you have, you can offer as much as you can, but also within the available space that we have.
Right.
You know, I just have a question and I don't want to throw the agenda, but I think it might help with this. I was just wondering from the employee's standpoint, what do you think the secret sauce is for this place? I mean,
Oh, that's a good question.
you know, what do you think that makes it so cool? I mean, why is this such a wonderful place in your opinion? What do you think? I don't want to put you on the spot, but.
I'll say what I think. I think it's really neat because it follows a progression of life. I know that sounds kind of weird, but there's something from the senior side of things, I know with the programming now there's kids, but just from the senior, older adult aspect. So, if you're newly retired, you might be looking for something to do, you might volunteer. You might, take a yoga class, you might do some of these things that are well suited for a 60-year-old. And you might enjoy that, and you might meet friends. Then as you age, some things maybe, you get older and you can no longer drive, but you still love this place. And now all of a sudden you use a different service, you can come in here and you can have lunch and you can take the yoga Zumba or something that's fit for you now, where before you could take the full. And then, as you continue to age, and we all do it, and we become less able, maybe all of a sudden you can't no longer make it in here. But you're at home, and now you're receiving that home services. And you're getting Meals on Wheels, and you're getting that visit 5 days a week by a volunteer, which you were 20 years ago. And it's, you see people that you've seen in different capacities.
Yeah.
We've been here so long, you see people and like, wow, I remember when, that guy was driving Meals on Wheels. Now he's
Yeah,
getting
he's
Meals on
getting
Wheels.
Yeah.
And it's the community and how this facility can serve that entire older adult community in different ways it suits what they need.
So that brings it really all back to that sign that we're going to re-implement in some way, there's,
No strangers here.
no strangers here, just friends you haven't met.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would agree, it's interesting because I find that there is a progression, because you have people come in and they always say, I'm here to volunteer. Because they don't really necessarily at that stage in their life want to associate themselves with a, well, we
Yeah.
don't call it a senior center anymore, but a lot of our social programs and programming and wellness and lifelong learning is for, they start off, wanting just to volunteer. Then you all of a sudden realize they make so many new friends. Then they start to branch out and taking the classes. And then you just see this whole progression over time. And I think that that's been super exciting. And like, it's really nice to see somebody who might come in and not, you just see their personality just, just explode because they have new friends and they have a new
Mhm.
social outlet and then they're thinking about their wellness. And so, yeah, it's kind of like they have an outlet for it.
Yeah. I was gonna say,
Andy, what do you think?
I think the social aspect
Mhm.
and connection,
Yeah.
and interaction is like the most important piece. And if that's we're delivering a meal, or somebody's delivering a meal, or they're participating, or they're literally just coming. It's important. But the transitions and it's changed, and so that senior center really only met kind of like where you had. So we may have somebody that just recently retired and they can come to the aquatic park or doing things, and we're like, oh, you should, I volunteer at the Milwaukie Center, you should come there, and that type of thing, and then they get into that fold. And having it more of a community center and having youth activities, we're bringing younger people in, and it's helpful because when their parents, aren't going to a senior center, they're like, hey, you should come here because they have these opportunities. Like, come with us and see what we're doing. Or they're coming in and they're like, wait a minute, what are these people doing? Oh, maybe. And so I think we are outreaching a little bit more because it's crazy. People don't know we're here. Or they move in and we send out packets or, we have some move-in things, but the reality is sometimes they just don't even know.
Yeah.
Or again, there's a
So
senior
that's,
center.
and
is
that's
also-
exactly what we're trying to answer through
Exactly.
looking at
Exactly.
goal setting instead of looking at 100 items on the list. Are there 2 or 3 of those kinds of things that we as an advisory board might, invest ourselves in? So that when we have our meetings, we're not hearing just reports from everything else that's going on, but we're hearing about action being taken to meet XYZ. I mean, one of the things we're doing, I think you're both aware of that, is the kind of open house that Riley is chairing the subcommittee for. And it's gonna be held in conjunction with the birthday,
45th anniversary.
45th anniversary of the Milwaukie Community Center. And is to showcase the various things we are doing, well, what I'm hoping for is out of our goal setting session, we'll know we want to do more of those kind of things, or we want to do more of this kind of thing, and then all of that, quite frankly, is going to depend on how the budget shakes out and also what fits in the wider parameters of NCPRD. And then also going into the future, I think this type of meeting should be recalendared so that it happens like before the budget, at something different, just gotta figure out a way to make the ones come together, like, can we do XYZ? Let's see if we can get it in the budget, what's that mean? And right now, it's, if we have something, let's say we wanted murals on every wall, we might have to go back through Kia and NCPRD and the board of directors and whatever, just to have a budget amendment done, that kind of thing. So I'm hoping that.
Right, so like, if you guys, I see the arts and the wall and murals from my perspective, just as someone who, if the budget's already been created, maybe it's changing that goal to, researching and looking for opportunities for grants for
Yeah.
more art in the community that we can then utilize here at the
Right.
center. Or like, I know that then reaching new people, one of the things is like being a presence at the community tabling opportunities. We get so many tabling opportunities, but we can't fulfill them all because
You don't have people.
we don't have staff to, the staffing resources. So you guys being ambassadors and representing and introducing the Milwaukie Community Center to increase reach to new audiences. Maybe that's something where you could say, working with staff to, be a presence at community tabling opportunities to represent the center. Or even helping us recruit in other volunteer organizations that might be able to fill that.
Yeah.
That would be huge because we don't, we already have the resources that we have. So anytime we can expand those resources through volunteer or through, having a larger presence, that would be.
Yeah.
You know,
And and I'll get to you in just half a second, but that type of thinking is exactly why I think we should have these kinds of meetings, because while we want art on the walls and whatever, what does it take to get there?
Yeah.
Having words that say art on the walls is a great thing out there, but if we don't have parameters set to it on what that means, I mean, it's like showcasing all the things Milwaukie Community Center does. If we didn't have this subcommittee that was working on, what does that look like? I mean, in the beginning, they didn't have any thoughts, they didn't have any ideas, they just knew we wanna get this out, where everybody that wants to has the opportunity to find out all the different kinds of things in one place at one time that the Milwaukie Community Center does. And so hence the subcommittee, the research they did, the working with NCPRD, the working with Marty, all that kind of stuff. Lorraine?
Yeah, I just wanted to just make a little comment. When I asked that question and you all gave your opinions, I felt the passion that you all have for this place. And it's not just coming to work. I know it's not just coming to work. I mean, you guys love what you do. And I think it's important for us to also somehow include that there's a special connection between the staff and the people that come here. And, so that would be nice to capture in here somehow. But, I don't know, I think you guys are doing a remarkable job, and the connections that you're making with people. And some of these people just don't have, I mean, they're isolated and they don't have connections. So, it would be nice to somehow, connect the dots on that as well.
How would you phrase that if we put it on this?
I don't know, it's that whole, Willamette View, where we talk about, people feeling connected, purposeful individuals, and so you're creating this opportunity for people to create purpose for themselves.
Yeah.
And, I'm not sure exactly how to connect that to the staff, but I do think the staff is really a big part of the secret sauce. I mean, there's all these amazing programs and volunteers and this building and everything, but if it wasn't for the staff and the passion there, then, but I think it would be nice to kind of, showcase that. You too, Ben, showcase that in some way that, that there's really a lot of love in this building and on the properties and, how can we?
So does that mean
show
like
that to others?
recognizing staff more?
Yeah.
Does that, I mean,
Maybe
it's
spotlighting staff.
spotlighting them, I mean, do we already do that in the Connections magazine, or is it only of our administration that we showcase in here?
I don't know.
No, we do spotlight our.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, not looking at it at the moment, I can't remember just. what it was.
Usually it's
So-
just new staff.
New staff.
Usually
It's
it's
usually
new
new
staff.
staff, yeah.
Yeah. But
I guess
maybe
like
it
a
could
fall,
be,
sorry.
maybe it could be, here's Candy Ho, and look how many years she's been here, and look at the things she's done throughout her 30-some years, with NCPRD and,
Yeah,
you know,
why is it so
where she
important,
is at this
you know?
point, yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe that's something we can even look at, doing, and I think we're looking at maybe a section out there where we could put up a picture of staff and an introduction, we could change it out every now and again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the things, back in the years when I ran Chambers of Commerce, I could not exist without name badges.
mhm,
And you know, even today, I mean, the other day I was at an event where there were several hundred people and I hadn't seen a lot of them for 10 years. And I could place where people should be and what they do professionally, and gosh, it's been a long time since I've seen them, but that first name was not forthcoming. And you know how embarrassing that is,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Well, I love you guys, you're great,
Yes.
and neither of you
I don't.
has a,
Yeah.
has a name badge.
I do
Yeah.
too.
Uh-oh.
You know, yeah, and also, I think we should have name badges so that when we come like to the dinners or to come to volunteer or we come to do
Yes.
something else, that people will know that we're
Exists.
an advisory, oh, there you go.
You got over 15 years before you get one though.
Well, there's our future, right?
Gold watch.
So I just wanna add to the secret sauce, I
Yeah.
think that's really kind of a neat way of saying that, is one of the big challenges that we are continually working on is doing what I said, while also making it, this community center feel open, and this is what you guys have been so passionate about, of being open to everybody.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
we've worked, and you look at Sarah's classes, and you go back 10 years and look at the classes,
Oh, yeah.
and
Big
it's a
difference.
difference, and it's,
Yeah.
it's an intentional move to try to
Yeah,
program this place for a different, wider group of
And
people.
tonight you'll see about 30 teens here and
Yeah.
utilizing center, so we've.
and that didn't happen even
No, we
3 or
just
4 years ago.
this year was the first year we've introduced our teen nights, and so we've had 4 so far, we have a 5th one coming up in March. And it's been super popular, and the kids know where this place is, their
Right.
parents know where this place
And
is.
to do that without watering down what we do on the social service older adult
Mhm.
service side is great,
So
because we are doing that, and we're not taking from the service side to the recreation side, we're just
Okay, so we got something put up there.
increasing it, which
Thank you,
is,
Ben.
which has been really neat.
I gotta tell you how much I appreciate Ben and his ability
Yeah.
to write on
Yes.
whiteboards and things, cause I can't do that. You know, and so thank you for doing that for us, and he came in early so that he could help with that too, so I really appreciate that.
Just to point out with your art too, the Regional Art and Cultural Council,
Mhm.
they also have a program that they work with, City of Portland, and surrounding areas they have art that's owned and then it's on loan to centers to change out and to the community
yeah.
areas. So that would be something you guys wanna look into to see what's available that you could actually have, on loan, and then they switch them out, and like maybe this will move over to the Milwaukie city, city building, and then they just kind of like.
Moves
rotate.
around,
Yeah.
yeah.
My undergraduate college, the art museum had a loan program that, there were occasionally like big names.
Yeah,
Someone
oh,
had-
absolutely,
some- let's not
yeah.
think, someone had like a, no, I don't still let have Picasso in, on loan program or not, but.
We better increase our security.
They have a mural program too, so I would encourage that maybe this group assign somebody to maybe constantly look on their website, because they have a listing. They also have grants that they post.
Yeah.
So if all of a sudden they find a grant, then maybe working with the Milwaukie Community Center Foundation to then apply for that grant for the mural or the art.
Yeah, I mean, that's how we were able to do the outside mural this past year.
Mhm.
It wasn't in the budget, it wasn't
Yeah.
anywhere, we started talking about it, we worked with our foundation, we worked with the city of Milwaukee, because
Yeah.
they, through their arts committee, would help fund it, and ended up being a 50-50.
Yeah.
Proposition, so, okay.
Do we have art classes or other schools?
We do, we
Reading
have
stuff,
watercolor, yes, we have watercolor
They have oil
drawing,
classes.
oil painting, and we are looking at mixed media, that's been a, one that we've added, so we do.
Just don't want to just open it to class, decorate the wall. go
Yeah,
for it.
yeah.
See
Yeah.
what you do.
Yeah, community project would be fun.
Yeah,
Your classes are on the walls.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Which has
Yeah.
been really
You know,
fun.
they're impressive.
I think it's very fun, and they switch all the time.
Absolutely.
People love looking at them.
Yeah.
Bring in a paintball group to do the Jackson Pollock.
that would be interesting.
Wilda, hey,
Switched
Might be
out, like,
well.
I do work
Four
with
times a
some
year.
of the RAC folks.
Do you work with RAC? Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So I can look into that.
Yeah, I used to
I
know
work
some
with
of them,
RAC
but I
and the
probably
Office of
don't
Arts
any
and Culture,
longer,
so
yeah.
I can see.
Well, and the Clackamas County Arts Alliance, is another good advocate. If we're able, so let's hypothetically say that turns out to be one of our top 3 goals, which I the way it's looking, that's probably what's gonna
Yes,
happen.
yeah.
That, you know, a subcommittee be formed and maybe Arts Alliance and RAC could be a couple of the people that are included in those discussions early on, as well as, you know, folks like Sarah or Candy or whoever from NCPRD. And Marty, of course, you know. We don't wanna load up his calendar too much, cause, you know, we're making decisions that he might go, wait a minute.
If there are other things that weren't submitted early that should be.
Yeah,
up there,
thank
let
you
me
for
know.
that.
I
That's a
can- I
good
can
question.
add Those. or-
Yeah, anything that was kind of burning for those of you who didn't have a chance to get your goals set in, or that even that you did, but now you're also thinking, oh, I want, you know, want to add something else.
Leave mural outside, hey, that was stuff.
Well, it's so funny Lorraine mentioned well, then this is kind of evolved a little bit, that staff spotlights, because that was one thing that has been in the back of my mind as well, is that how do we as a group celebrate the staff here? And, not to continue to volunteer myself for things, but in my day job, I am doing a staff spotlight, interviewing longtime staff and, just sort of creating a web page where there's like a rotating spotlight of staff and a little bit about, you know, what was your first job at, you know, in this case, NCPRD, and what made you stay, what are some skills you've learned along the way, what are some of your proudest moments and accomplishments, anecdotes and stories about community members that you want to share, and that kind of historical, I mean, I think that fits in really well with the 45th anniversary in some ways too.
Yeah.
So just noodling on that a little bit, I think
Yeah.
that could be a really fun avenue.
You may be on a second subcommittee.
Oh, Marty, I gotta interview you.
But just seeing the buses coming in, I think photographs of the bus driver helping their people off.
Yeah.
Or even, I mean, Diana was dressed up in the most wonderful Santa Claus outfit for our APAC people. Just so that other people know the people that they might not necessarily be in touch with.
Exactly.
But they're part of this team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. I agree with
I could
that.
add, just a simple little text on here that this
Right.
is staff person so
Yeah,
and so.
why
and
wasn't it
this-
Courtney and Frank?
Right,
Yeah.
I mean, it could just be text inserted by their picture saying who they are, that they're a staff person, could call it out, very simple.
Yeah, because everybody might not know, yeah, and I noticed that Ben has put on there, also on the website, and so he's adding to that,
Putting on
so.
web. Oh, yeah, we have a website, we have funding, you know, we agree.
some are-
So
Some-
I would say,
That
if
we're working on having a website, so.
does anybody disagree with this thought? I think for at least one of our goals is to develop an ongoing staff spotlight discussion happening, whatever you wanna call it.
Spotlight,
So-
employee appreciation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. I
so,
mean, it is.
so we got that, so that's something, is there anybody that would like to chair that? And bring other folks in? We
I
have
am
other-
happy to, although I don't wanna
Well, we also have
keep
art
volunteering for
coming
other
up,
people, I
so-
know, that's what I know.
Yeah, so,
I'll
all right,
participate.
so let's do this, please don't put dots on the whiteboard. Only on the two sheets of paper that are up there, but of those two sheets, and maybe, Ben, could
Well,
you,
maybe I can put this on.
could you just add staff spotlight over on the other
Yeah,
side?
all right,
somewhere?
I was
Now we-
leaving
now we
leaving
have a
space in
table.
case anything else was gonna be. thought
Yeah,
of.
yeah, I don't think so, I think that's
Yeah.
coming, yeah. So you each have orange and you have blue, so orange is, yeah, I kind of like it, but I think it's already being done, or I feel comfortable. You know, that it's somehow gonna get done and we don't need to do it, but blue is, man, move ahead, you know, this is something that we know, so, but what I want you to do, there are little circles on these sheets. So use 3 of your, it's already being done, or we don't need to focus on it. And that doesn't need to be our number 1 priority, let me put it that way. And use 2 of the blue. So you say, yeah, that's really important, our group can do that, we'll need other people to help. If we form any kind of subcommittee, even like the one we've done so far with the open house. There have been various people that have been part of that, not just the blue group from here that started out, so we're always gonna need other people to help do things. right? Does that sound okay to everybody? So you're gonna use 3 orange, saying, and, you know, I think it's okay, and 2 blue. Okay?
Blue.
2 blue. And if you choose to, you could put both of, you know, you could put 3 oranges on one thing or put 2 blues, but I'd prefer that you do 2 things with 2 blues, you know, 1 blue each. But let's see how it turns out. Let's start with that, and let's just take 6 minutes and do that.
Yeah, so dots I had were already in the writings, and I think Brad said.
While everybody's doing that, I just wanna point out this card over here, and those are all pictures.
Oh, yes.
And at our last meeting, we discussed, having some pictures for the 45th. So if everybody wants just to take a box or 2 home with them. And look for pictures that seemed, especially vibrant or that would be interesting for people, because there's a lot of old pictures.
Yeah.
And then bring those back with you next meeting. And we'll try to put them together for some sort of a.
Great idea.
Thanks for doing that.
There's pretty funny stuff in there.
So you must have a hole in your closet now, right?
Well,
Trying to start
stacked over the refrigerator.
Of course it is.
They're boxing their desk.
No rat wrappings.
Yeah.
All of it.
Yeah.
But I think
That's
the
funny.
first, yeah, but-
Yes, first.
These are so cool.
Oh, perfect.
I know, it will be.
I didn't wanna bring them out while we were having a meeting, cause it'd be so distracting.
Yeah. We would lose the entire.
Well, we are giving a prize to someone to find the youngest picture of Marty.
Yes. As I'm doing this, I just want to find old shots of Marty.
I definitely in favor of that, but we know it's happening.
And if you can find out candy, even better.
Oh my goodness, when I saw some of Jason when they did the,
Hey, well done.
I was like, he looks. so
Dedication.
cute. He had my little teeny,
I
like.
think it's already being done, it's just less of it.
Oh, that's
Okay.
important. Yeah, it's still important, but it's less.
Oh, my
all of
goodness.
these things that
Wow,
ended
how
up
old was it when you started?
are saying, this is what I wanna care about,
Pictures when I'm like.
are important.
Yes, I think I saw a picture of you and yeah.
Yeah. Nobody asked my husband for photos, so they have like the weirdest pictures.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because that's what they're doing as neighborhood hubs.
Exactly.
You did a presentation for Jason, did he leave, did he?
Oh, no, this was when, what, they, was the
She was-
40th or, no, they were.
She was just looking at old photos from
Yeah.
when he was in high school, and he worked at the aquatic park.
Yeah,
It's fun to
last
do
year,
because it also got
2024,
products.
the aquatics park was 30 years old.
Yeah.
And so they had put some pictures up at the aquatics.
30 years old, are you kidding me? I remember when that was built.
Yes, and so we were like,
Jeez.
so there were pictures in the lobby and I was like,
Wow.
A few of us.
yeah, well, there were some pictures of you. I think I think they had a picture of you when you were pregnant.
And I want to thank Sarah for going out and finding us dots this morning, because
Yeah.
I haven't got at it until yesterday.
Desi found the dot.
Same color, not just a rainbow.
Yeah, I need something to write on paper.
Yeah.
Isn't it just using? the
Ben's
markers?
got the solution there.
So I remember to keep this one away from the whiteboard. My phone.
It was a group effort. Rochelle found the flip chart, so.
Good idea. Back to me.
Like, I could
There's
always-
plenty, yeah, you can have as many as you
No, I
want.
was just looking, I could start a new blue one, or I could just leave
No,
it,
that's
else is gone.
Oh, you do?
No.
So efficient.
I'm just like such an idiot. Like you're like, well, you should be.
We did the kitchen bake, that beautiful.
I know,
whatever
but I
that
didn't really
is.
know what that was.
Probably awesome.
But you can put everything on there,
Yeah.
and you don't.
From.
Oh my goodness, so I'm just
Fast
copying
forward
my last.
season
Oh,
extracts.
Great harvest.
Great
Sometimes.
harvest.
Design and dinner.
Yeah, that is neat.
Yeah, I'm so lucky, I know,
Yeah.
so, I felt
Yeah.
like,
Try to give it all away.
Compliments, a lot of
I like
talking
it.
about this too.
But I gotta go see what this is.
I know I need to go and change the settings too.
Because they have those set up.
I know, and I've been losing a lot of emails.
Yeah, when I get you.
Actually, I'll-
Every fall, I heard, yeah, it's really level north and then put things on there, right?
Oh my, I mean, already, we haven't even.
But- Yeah, just maybe implement that.
Some ordering, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm looking forward to that. Because right now. I don't even know
Yeah,
what-
exactly.
What exactly, there's so many wormholes.
Uh,
So, yeah, so I'm excited.
Anytime.
Good idea. Yeah, for sure. And I don't know what the cost of the county. We stay with it in March, which is. terrific.
And we should go through them and see what we want to use in the birthday celebration.
Actual function. Yeah,
Yeah.
You're better off to get the
yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
candy budget
Yeah, like I saw it.
25.
Yesterday,
Yeah.
Or.
commenting.
Yeah,
Oh,
no.
God, it's, I mean, just the tone alone last Wednesday.
Fiscal year 23, 25, it's like.
Yeah.
Must be an outside contract for the county. Yeah, he was terrific.
Yeah.
Sitting there. Works
I
at Dollar
know.
General. Why am I doing this? It's gonna be
I
called
know.
back.
That was like my-
More entertaining.
I was trying to do the same thing. It took me.
I think I'm gonna try to organize moving forward.
So,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen, I think there's one real clear winner up there, and I have a feeling that part of that is also because we've had some good discussion in this room about art and, you know, how we can access different things and whatever, and Sarah, thank you for
Oh, yeah.
that. And if we are able to form a subcommittee, should work on that, can we
I can assist.
have you help with that? Okay. So what do you guys think? It looks like that's a clear winner for one of the things that should be our three major goals in this coming year. Is that it?
Could I just
Right.
mention that it feels like refresh interests could kind of be combined with that a little
So
bit?
where is that?
Just right above it, refresh it. I feel
Oh,
like it's sort of in the
refresh
same vein, right?
Yeah, well, that, yeah, that makes sense.
More structural.
'Cause it-
Oh,
Yeah,
that's a good point.
oh, well, my,
Stru-
but then
more structural
maybe
than
it's just
aesthetic.
more attractive.
Well, right now, I can tell you, we don't have the funds. for
The
that
structure, well,
part.
right, that's kind of why I was thinking instead
Yeah, right.
flat screens everywhere. Yeah, planter,
Concrete pillars.
Okay, do we still wanna combine those two? We good with that?
I think we would, the subcommittee,
least
we'll put it down as
brainstorm on
priority,
what it might
we'll get
mean.
the refreshing too.
Yeah. Okay, all right,
Beautification.
all right, so we wanna be sure, I'm gonna. What pin, are there different pins up here, some work on one thing and some work on another?
Well, don't use the Sharpie.
The one.
Well, less
The
than-
paper is.
No,
You want it right there.
no, I wanna sort this. Okay, so that's the best one to use for that, okay.
Well, see, I think we should say review. current
So, and
activities.
just FYI, before we, and I'm gonna do a couple of. Before we do actually begin to move forward on any of this, not that we, I mean, it doesn't stop us from forming like a subcommittee if need be, which some of them will. Marty and I are gonna meet with Kia and talk about what we've come up with and how does that fit together with what NCP is already doing and or with the Milwaukie Community Center budget and all those kind of things, right?
Right.
Yeah, so,
Who,
yeah.
who's Kia?
She is the director of NCPRD, yeah. Yeah, and then I know
Fairly new,
our
yeah.
discussions
You're still in the
recently, I
grace
know that
period.
Mayor Lisa Beatty is also interested in what we may do, and maybe we have a meeting with the four of us or something, yeah. We'll see how things go.
See how that works out, yeah.
So, yeah,
So maybe the goal could be to foster a vibrant, inclusive and creative community, and committing to an art initiative that increases partnership opportunities here at the city.
oh, do you wanna share that? with me?
Yeah, I'll.
Not that you thought.
Send that to her, that would make it.
That was quick.
Okay, so we do have one goal, this is, we're gonna be focused on this for this coming year, okay? Or until we do goals again, cause that could be next October or so. Alright, so then we got a couple here, couple here. Couple here, and one here on the blue. So we're not gonna be able to do all of these, but it doesn't mean not all important, because even the ones with orange are things that they're important to the whole underpinning of the Milwaukie Community Center, but they're either already being done or they're important, but they're not where we as an advisory board can focus our energies in this coming year. Does that make sense? So. Okay, so we got a couple of them that have two. Reach new people and staff spotlight. And complement Concord partnership. So this one is probably more out in the future a little bit. Because we had talked about maybe forming a subcommittee and then we were asked to wait on that. So can we like put this as look at mid-year maybe?
Probably.
Well, Ben, you're right, so much better. than
And
me.
I would add to all these, they're all great things we want as a organization to work for, like utilize that, I mean, all these things are good, it does just what you as a committee are gonna concentrate on.
Exactly.
Doesn't mean we're not gonna have
Exactly.
multicultural events, we are, and we already do,
Yeah,
but we doesn't mean we're done with it, it means it's on our radar, the social event, same thing, the music. You know, one of,
Yeah. well, we all know that intergenerational programming is something that we're gonna do at the Milwaukie Center. The Milwaukie Community Center is gonna do because that's our major focus for the Milwaukie Community Center. But there isn't anybody within that that's working on.
right,
art
which is
and
why
rec.
we want this group to concentrate on some of
Right.
these.
And I go back to,
Right.
it's the same thing as the open house
Right.
event that we're doing. We're trying to showcase all these things, but there wasn't any concentrated effort specifically to do that, so we formed the subcommittee, which became the open house
Correct,
committee.
and we didn't have the staff resources to fully do that, I
Exactly.
mean, we're gonna help, but we
Right.
need this group to
Right,
do
and
that.
so if board members leave this, but like Sarah would help,
Mhm.
you know, or whatever. And some of these other things, like utilize outdoor spaces, it's got orange on it, cause that's already being done, and we know it's gonna continue, and we know it's important. All of these things are important, cause they were important to all of you in this room, cause you're all the ones that sent them in. So it's important they all happen, but where can we as an advisory board put our focus on that, so.
And I would say one of the things that would be super helpful for staff is like, we know as a committee and we know as like our staff that we're already focusing on multicultural and inclusive events. And the intergenerational programming, if you see something in the community that you're like, that band was amazing, I was at this. If you could get a business card and give it to Marty and Marty can hand it off to us, that stuff is super helpful for us, cause we're always trying to look for
Yeah,
artists, you know, or if you see a dance group, getting just the name of the dance group and then referring that back to us, that is huge because we're, you know, it helps us take away staff time of all the research that we do for trying to find those types of things, so.
okay, so. This one we're gonna set aside. So that leaves us with two on reach new people, community. Enabling. And staff spotlight, and we've had quite a bit of discussion about that, so it sounds like that's something that can easily move forward, maybe with some minor direction from advisory board, maybe.
Yeah, it would be a short-term win.
Yeah,
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah.
Low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Low hanging win.
Yeah, we can celebrate it, move on to the next one.
Okay, so we got that, so reach new people, community tabling, that's open house.
Right.
So is it that only, or is it farmers markets, is it other events and activities?
Well, we can help give
All of the
direction
above.
with that, opportunities that come our way, it's just that sometimes we can't fulfill them all, so that might be one that we can refer to you guys and say, hey, if you, like in the summer, we have this many opportunities, we know we can be here at these. There's a gaps here, would you guys
Yeah,
be willing to provide?
Like the first Fridays in Milwaukee.
Sure,
or
yeah,
something.
absolutely,
You know,
those
if there are
kinds of things. Yep.
volunteers that could take care of the tabling
Yeah.
for you. Okay,
Yeah.
Joel,
Well, I'm just, I agree, community tabling is an excellent way to start doing that, but when I look at reach new people, it's not limited to community tabling. I think it's the general.
Yeah.
Ignorant ignorance of a lot of the district members that this place even exists. So I think it's more important to find new ways that maybe aren't reliant on staff, because I know they are stretched thin, that we could, as an advisory board, help with. I mean, maybe it's brainstorming, maybe it's physically doing something, you know, it could tie into even, you know, increasing with, whatever, rentals, things like that, having materials available for other things going on here, I don't know, but that's the whole idea of it to me, is it's much bigger.
Ben, can you write? new
Everything I
ways?
just said.
Well, like, for
Tend to think
instance,
about
like,
doing with this.
if it's looking at like hotels in the area and going to the front desk and introducing them, and
Right.
saying,
So you
hey, I
can
just want to
measure
drop
it.
off this information about our rentals, because a lot of people who come to hotels are looking for,
Yeah.
doing conferences, and they need meeting space outside of the hotel, so like that type of stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that it's a,
how to.
I think it's a lot bigger, more
Generate
vague,
those
but
ideas.
yeah,
hotels,
that's like a
conferences.
perfect example of, yeah, that's a great idea.
Have you ever had like an open house where we invite like community leaders here to kind of see what there is and?
Well, a
And
lot
what's
of times we
possible.
attend the chambers too, and we don't always have the staff time to do that as well, but we,
They do
Drop-
meet here.
yeah.
Do they?
We
Yeah,
host
the
that,
chamber
which has been
has
good.
a couple of their, I mean, I've been just on a tail end, you know, coming in and they're still there while we're getting ready to start our meeting.
Yeah.
So I've seen that, you know, a few times, but
What's
I don't know that they pay that much attention to the Milwaukie Community
Yes.
Center. They're paying attention to what's going on in their chamber networking that morning.
Normally,
Just my
the,
opinion.
the foundation person will give a presentation, a short presentation when it's at our.
Well, that's
facility.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, and that's part of, I think that chamber is another example of like, whatever, going to hotels or tabling, but it's marketing the center, and I know the foundation does that with billboards and things for bingo and stuff like that, which is great. But I think we need to market the center, not how we raise funds for the center, but the
Yes.
center operates, and that's where we get lost in
so
translation.
one thing that I would add to that, I don't disagree with that, that's good, and so one thing to add to that is that the NCPRD and subsequently the Milwaukie Community Center are members of the North Clackamas Chamber of Commerce.
Right.
And so we, as advisory board members, are also considered adjunct members of the Chamber of Commerce. And so if we, any of us happen to be or wanted to be at the 7:30 in the morning AM business connections that they have, that's all you have to do is show up and do a 30-second commercial. They go around the room, everybody tells who they are and what they stand for and what business they are or whatever. And we could do that. We, as the board, could even host a chamber function out here if we, you know, got all the right pieces together and that type of thing. And that's one way of communicating with some of those business people that we don't in other venues or other ways get the opportunity to see or hear from.
But again, yeah, I think it goes in with like even
So it's-
tabling
it's
general
something we
public.
can take, you know,
Absolutely, but I think when I'm looking at to reach new people, if we're looking at a subcommittee or whatever, it's that those ideas. And then if we need to try to leverage, if we can leverage some help from the foundation, it's not to promote the foundation. But we need to promote what's actually going on here that people don't have to come necessarily spend money on. Because they're a district member, they're already paying for it, or the services or whatever, their kids may want to. Anyway.
And this one, I think is something it sounds like we all wanna at least explore, how can we get involved and do that? So maybe that's a topic for our next regular meeting too.
Well, and I'm sorry, I'm not
All
trying
of
to.
these goals are, but, you
I know in the past when we brought this up, we've like brought Elena in and stuff and trying to, you know, fold it into the county's marketing, which it's awesome.
Yeah.
She does a great job, but I think that's where some of the shortfalls are too, is that they're only able to do so much.
right,
That's the beauty of us having this, the luxury of us having this board is to maybe come up with things outside of that we could also help with, that obviously are within the guidelines of, you know, NCPRD, but
Yeah, well, you know, a small thing like that is like when farmers markets open, you know, taking these magazines to the farmers market.
Right,
We ran out of them at Milwaukie Farmers Market, they were in such demand.
no, I think tabling's a great opportunity to do that.
Yeah,
I have a suggestion for your group because I think you guys probably all have a lot of great ideas, and if you hone in on 2 or 3 of these things, that then I'll come back with ideas for it, so
that's exactly what
you're gonna be ready, because I know you're trying to get,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
get your opinions and comments.
we're getting, right now, we're getting into the how do you make that happen, which really is the next.
The next
phase.
phase.
Yeah.
The phase right now is.
Really
these
getting all the
concepts
ideas
are-
before you.
So right now, we have 3,
Yeah. Well, I had a thought while we were doing something else,
Yeah,
I dumped my brain over here. Cause I'm thinking about, you probably about outdoor spaces, I was thinking about, Steve, you're talking about tabling in advance, and I remember I saw you at one of the, summer concerts.
Lots of them.
Yes, but I only was at one of them. With my kids, getting the pizza from the truck, and I was thinking, you know, well, that's the neighborhood association, NDA, what is it?
NDA.
The NDA.
Yeah.
Which NDA are we in? Or are we in one?
Lake Road, maybe?
Lake Road.
Yeah,
There's
might be like-
What is it?
I mean, I know, I'm.
Yeah.
The Lake Road.
Lake Road,
I thought it
yeah,
might
that
be
makes
Lake Road.
sense.
They've supported us, the NDA has supported us in certain ways before.
So, yeah, I was thinking, that we have a stage in the Rose Garden, I just thought, and I know, I don't wanna compete with the other, you know, the Wednesdays and Thursday concerts, besides we have Tuesday, Thursday bingo, so I can't do
Oh,
that.
we have space for a concert.
But we have
This is like idea generation.
July, yes, was one of the out there idea things, but that was sort of just.
So let's
Could we do
not
something
lose
about
track of that thought, let's,
Yeah.
will all this get
Take a picture
written
of
down,
this.
and then you'll be able to take what's on here and, you know.
But this is sort of a.
Thank you.
This is a goal, this is just another, use of thought or something.
You're getting all of this, right? Capturing it all.
My photograph.
Utilize the outdoor space.
See item number 3. Because I think it goes very along with this, reach new people.
Well, I
So-
think Bonaventure is gonna add, Bonaventure's gonna add people too.
Yes, Bonaventure, we should ask for, not right now, maybe, because I don't know how far along they are, but we should ask for a tour
Yes,
of Bonaventure.
not yet, they're not ready for that, but we
Yeah.
will.
But that would be cool
They
for
might
our
do
group
that.
to be able to do, and therefore talk about what's provided in the Milwaukie Community Center. So.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have 3 goals that we're going to flesh out over the next few months. And Rochelle, bless her heart, is gonna track all of it, you know, she's gonna write all these down for us in our minutes so that we'll have it, maybe a separate document that has goal number 1, 2, and 3. But we don't wanna lose any of the rest of this either. We wanna have it all in one place. But we know that these are the 3 things that we're more specifically working on, which might mean we need to form subcommittees, which might mean we need to have people take more responsibility for being involved as a volunteer or whatever, but how does that sound to everybody at this point? Instead of 100 things on a list, we now have 3 for sure. And then 1 we're gonna look at mid-year. And other things that we think are important and we wanna hear about, if not be part of. Does that make sense? Okay.
Yeah.
I think we're done for the day.
Look at that, and
Yeah.
I'm 49.
No,
Consensus.
That's
work.
efficient, well, that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Now, we didn't have an opportunity for a lot of the reports, so I just wanna make sure if there's anything that needs to be reported.
More.
Oh, no.
All right, there's a.
You guys were great, thank you. It's not often, as you know, that we have the opportunity to really have the deep discussions about any number of things, and I appreciate that staff is having good input into that too, and that you're supporting of what we're trying to do and how we're trying to do it. I really appreciate this board of directors, and I appreciate the fact that we kind of changed a little bit from just a report hearing board to an action-oriented board, so that we can really feel good about the things that we're doing in addition to what staff is doing to help move Milwaukie Community Center forward. So thank you all for being here today. Adjournment of the meeting.
All right.
Don't forget your pictures.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, take a box. Okay.
Thank you, Wilda.
Oh, you're welcome. I hope
It's a good meeting.
hope everybody feels good about it.
That's super productive.
Yeah.
You want the docs back?
Oh, we're gonna give them back to Sarah. She
Yeah, we got
ransacked
jobs